Okay, this is the front side. Again, we're not taking off a whole lot of metal here today. We're just touching this thing up. So the front side bevel is now flat. Flatten the back again. This is the 1000 grit stone. We didn't need to go to the 400 here. What's this? Back again, back again. I haven't gone anywhere today. I'm showing green all across, live 31 minutes, 6 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds, drop frame, 0, whatever. I don't know what's going on, but at this end, everything is showing green. I'm sorry. Okay. I can't argue with you all, but all I know is what I see here. I'm not touching the machine, and it's showing normal. Our internet connection, actually you can see it out the window there. You see the floating lamppost, which is no longer floating anymore because of the sunshine. The reason it looks to be floating is there's a grating on the ground there, and that grating is the access for the NTT optical fibers for the street, and maybe telephone as well. I don't know what else is under there. And so that's where our connection is going through the ground, just under the grating that you see there, floating the lamppost into the air. So that's our optical fiber hookup point. So the fiber runs from my computer here upstairs to the router, out to the modem, around to the next building, under the ground, over to that grating. Green, green, green. When I don't look at, is it still giving trouble? Another one of our regulars, the vacuum cleaner lady in the hotel lobby across the street. It must be 8:33. When does she come on? Between 8:25 and 8:45, somewhere around there. Not touching the computer. The mud? Yeah, I know the last one there, the last stone, is so fine. It's essentially, it feels like just nothing. It's like a marble or whatever. And if you just rub the knife on it, nothing will happen because the stone isn't gritty in any sense. But putting the mud on top of it, it seems to be that the mud, the grit of the broken up mudstone, is what actually cuts into the metal, it seems. But I don't know what's happening at a molecular level. But if you just put just water on it, it doesn't sharpen, it just slides around. But by putting that mud on, you get a slight, ooh, this is nice, nice and sharp. Okay, back to work. Getting noisy out there, vacuuming, garbage trucks. The garbage truck on the left there, he's parked outside the Korean hot dog place, Aridan Hot Dog. It's a boom here in Tokyo for the past few years. A company from Korea sells there some kind of cheese dogs. I don't really know that it looks like traditional Korean food, but it's a boom. So. Sorry about the noise. I could shut off the outside mic, but I do not want to touch the computer for obvious reasons. So relax. They'll be finished in a minute, those guys. Are they done? Is he still there? No, more to come, seems. Hi. All right, good. Back to the peaceful life. Is it vacuuming? No, she's still vacuuming, whatever. Back to a nice, pleasant Tokyo morning. Actually, the best time for that, the soundscape, is about 2 hours before I come online. 6 o'clock in the morning here in Tokyo. The city's just waking up. You got people out there walking their dogs. There's a few bicycles going back and forth. That's when the soundscape is really at its most pleasant each morning. So before the trucks start, the delivery trucks, the rule is they've got to be in and out of here before 10 o'clock because this is a pedestrian zone. The deal is all deliveries to be done between 8 and 10 is the nominal rule. So this guy, I think this is the Oshibori truck delivering. So our stream time is just unfortunately coinciding with peak delivery time in this district. So it's not actually like this all day long. So. These, of course, these are mothers coming back from the yochi and the kindergarten that's just up the street at Sensoji Temple there. They have a kindergarten slash daycare center there. And people like that, those mothers, you can see she had a baby seat or a kid seat on the back of her bike. And it opens at different times up there. The daycare center part, I think, opens earlier, about 7:30 or 8. But the kindergarten itself starts between 8:30 and 9. So these mothers have delivered, they've dropped off their kid and they're now coming back. And it's funny, seeing those mothers go by, last year, about 2 years ago, last year, 2 years ago, we were, with print parties, we're doing really successful here in the shop, really, really successful. And we were having trouble finding staff who could do the print parties for us. People that could speak English, who could be trained to do the print party work. And Dave had a bright idea. I thought, among those young mothers, like the couple you just saw go by, among those young mothers, they probably graduated from college 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever. They've now got their kid. They've dropped their kid off at the daycare center. They now have quote unquote free time during the day. Of course, they still have lots of housework and stuff to do, whatever. But anyway, among that pool of women who were at this daycare center or in this neighborhood, I thought there should be a whole bunch of people who quite possibly could be amenable to working for us on 1 day a week or 2 days a week or a little bit now and then, or even maybe just afternoons or just mornings or something. So I thought this could be a good pool. These are educated young women. They're bright, cheerful. Probably most of them can actually handle quite a bit of English. So Dave's bright idea was I'll get a flyer made up describing us and what we were doing, a little one-page color flyer. And I went to the daycare center there, and they wouldn't let me distribute this to the parents. Whatever, common sense. They wouldn't specifically allow this, so no problem. So I just went, we printed up a couple of thousand of them. Myself and 2 or 3 of the staff, we put a copy of this flyer in every accessible mailbox within about, I don't know exactly, 300, 400 meters of here. So we draw a circle around ourselves and the daycare center, and we put the flyers in the mailboxes. Little picture of our shop, outlining what we would like to do, very easy going, choose your own hours, the pay was pretty good, blah, 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 blah. And the number of responses we got was, well, we talked about this before, 0. Absolute 0. Absolute 0. And I'm still actually not quite sure why. We did put in the flyer that you need a little bit of English experience. And the other staff here thought I shouldn't do that. They don't even mention that. And I thought, I need people who can, speak to their guests here. But there's a paradox with the way Japanese people, especially those 2 young ladies who just walked by. If you're a tourist in Tokyo wandering around and you're sort of whatever, looking a bit lost or something, if you approach a Japanese person like you're lost, you're trying to find the station. There's 2 ways to do it, the no and the yes. If you go to a near person, you're trying to find a station, you say, "Excuse me, do you speak English?" As in, next question. They will always, always, always say, no. But if you just say, "Excuse me, where is the station?" they will understand it, and they will say, "I'll take you," whatever, over there. But they can't admit to speaking English because they're afraid that you're suddenly going to launch into a rocket science conversation or something. So the staff here thought that was my mistake, that I shouldn't have put in the flyer that we require English ability. And I'm like, if we don't put that in, we're going to, at what point do we sort of filter people out, So. Anyway, it's a moot point now because print parties are history and they don't need that kind of staff right now. But at the time we were snowed. We were snowed under. if you're white and look lost in Tokyo, someone will walk up for help. I don't know about all of that. Maybe that's true or maybe not. I don't know. So I don't know. Were print parties profitable? I don't know. I know our business as a whole is alive. We're profitable, I guess. The print parties were clearly priced too low, but at the beginning when we did those, I didn't care about that. To me, I was just trying to produce an activity that people would say, yeah, I think I'd like to go and try that when I'm in Tokyo. Whereas the point being, we were just trying to get people to come in the door. And for the first year, 2 years, it was a struggle. For the third, fourth, fifth year, it became overwhelming. They became hugely popular. And on a straight cost-benefit accounting, bean counting type of thing, no, they were costing me in staff and rent, et cetera, more than it brought in. But there's the is that the right word? The loss leader thing. Many of the people who came for a print party bought prints. Not all of them, but many of them did. So overall, our business model was doing very, very well. The Asakusa shop was healthy, stable, profitable. That's history now, of course. As we've talked about before, the renovation is starting. The renovation of the back room is starting soon. We're going to tear down the print party bench. There will be no more print parties when we come back to life, whenever that is. Dave, I'll concentrate a little bit here. Now, this is important stuff here. I can't see it. There's a truck parked exactly right in front of our place. I guess they're delivering to the kimono store maybe next door. They had a big day yesterday. It's just to the right of the camera there. You can't see it, but there's a truck parked outside here. So. Well, maybe it's the construction dudes for the new shop opening 2 doors down. Yeah, they're getting their tools ready. It's guys from the construction. How's our time? Are we okay? Please remind me today. We have oh, mada. Lots of time left, so. Yep, today's wood is boxwood. Very smooth, beautiful, clean, clear boxwood. So it's boxwood from what they call that place called Mikura Island. And here in Japan, it's famous for boxwood. Printmakers like us, we are not the prime users of this boxwood at all, of course. In fact, from their point of view, they don't even know about us. There's no longer enough carvers to justify. The main people who buy boxwood now, for those people, for the producers, are the ones making Japanese traditional combs, kushi. They're made from boxwood also. And in fact, a few years ago when I was trying to buy boxwood, I went to a shop here in Asakusa, before we had a shop here. This is one of Japan's most famous comb shops, making traditional combs, is here in Asakusa. And when I had been trying to find boxwood, I came here to chat with these guys, and they were 1,000% totally, absolutely, completely unhelpful. And I get it. You know, they have trouble finding good wood themselves. Some dude walks in off the street, says, "Hey, I'm looking for a good place to find boxwood. Help me." They're like, "I don't know nothing about that." Which is, of course, it's okay. I get it. I'm not upset. Just whatever, you know. But they are heavy users of boxwood. They need really strong, beautiful boxwood to make their combs. You're talking about a piece of wood that has slices cut into it, and the leftover wood becomes the comb. You know, you can understand if that's not hard, they're going to break off like straight. You know. So. Is this boxwood similar to Europe and the U.S.? I believe it's the same plant. I don't know about the genetic, the Latin name of all this. It's the same, the quote, same unquote plant. The British printmakers, friends like my friend Andy English over there, he says Turkish boxwood is the number one prime for the Europeans who are using this, but they're using boxwood in a different way. Engravers use it. They get little tiny pieces, glue them together, and they use the wood on the end of the tree. And so imagine a tree being sliced off. They carve on the end of that piece of wood. People like us using it, think of the tree falling over, being sliced up. We are carving on the sliced face. And the difference is, when you're carving on the end, you can glue together small pieces to make it as big as you want. For us, because we're carving on the width of the tree, we need a tree that was wide enough to make a plank for us. And the wider they get, the more unstable they get. Boxwood trees only ever grow. It's a shrub, really. It's not a tree. So this is our problem, is finding pieces wide enough and stable enough for what we need. And in the old days, back in Edo Meiji time, people doing printmaking, they never, as in capital N, never used boxwood as a full plank like this. They inlaid smaller pieces of boxwood just in the areas where it was needed. So the print that I'm making right now, they would have just inlaid 2 little pieces of boxwood, a little square, chuck, 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 and another little square, chuck, chuck, chuck. And I myself have done that back in the old days. The great wave print I did, the calligraphy, that's on an inlaid piece of boxwood. The problem is, when you make the print first, you can print it cleanly, but after a year goes by, 2 years go by, 3 years go by, it gets wet, it gets dry, it swells, it shrinks, and the boxwood insert piece ages and moves and shrinks and swells at different rates than the cherry wood. So you end up seeing visible lines around the outside of it. In the old days, they didn't care. If you're making a print, you publish it, bang, throw away the blocks, you're done, move on to the next one. But for us, we want to keep these blocks and use them as long as we can. So, is that the vacuum cleaner lady again? That sounds like a dust buster. But for beginners, for people trying this, really boxwood is really not so helpful for you. If you're going to make 5,000 copies of your print, it's kind of cool, but most beginners are not in that situation. And the downside is it's so hard. You need a good sharp knife to cut it. But good sharp knife means good delicate knife because the end is so small, so fine. And the boxwood's so hard, you're going to get your knife, stick it in the wood, and you're going to break it. I'm not insulting you, I'm just describing this as a matter of fact. And when you're not so experienced, it's really easy to break your knife. And boxwood is a knife breaker. So I wouldn't, whatever, play with what you want, but it's going to be frustrating. And you don't need it unless you're looking for super, super, super microscopic level of detail and thousands of copies. Just frustrating. Or green, not that it seems to make any difference. It looks ugly right now. We've cut around his nose, but the leftover wood is still there, so it looks grotesque. What are the two purple circles? We were showing something, right? Remember a week or so ago? There was paper here at that time. I was explaining, do we carve the inside of a circle or the outside of a circle first? And I think I drew with a ballpoint pen or something. And then when I washed this paper off the other day, it distorted the ink. So they were chats. They were part of the chat. Yeah, I was talking about it, so. This is so good. I don't need to answer anything of this, right? I can just get to work and ignore this. Show and tell today. We got a time for show and tell. Show and tell today is different. It's different. It's different. In fact, I was just whatever. You'll see when we get there in a few minutes. It's related to just now. We were talking about the boxwood just now, and I had been searching and trying to find good boxwood and stuff like that. And that had been one of the questions that I had saved up for that session visiting Ito-san the carver. The famous video that we've got, remembering the carver. Because I had had no chance to see a carver, when it finally came a chance to see him that day, I had a list of questions freaking 10 miles long. I never even got it out. We got in there, and I've told this story before. Before I even had a chance, he had been primed. The TV producer had primed him with some of the things that Dave was going to ask about. So we sat down and said good morning. Before his wife even brought the tea, he says, let's talk, blah, blah. He starts talking about one of these topics. So I never did have a chance to bring out my list and go through checkpoint 1, question, answer, check 2. It's just as well, because, when people do that to me, they come for an interview and they bring out their piece of paper and I think, oh my God, here we go. It's not going to be conversation, it's going to be interview. So with Ito-san, of course, I didn't bring out a physical list. But anyway, I had a bunch of things that I wanted to ask him. And over the course of the 2 hours or so that we were there, I did get a chance to do. And at one point, it's not in the program, of course, maybe the guy was changing his tape or something, I don't know. I did ask him, I'm looking for a place to get good boxwood. Where can I get boxwood? And he's like, Tsuge, boxwood? Why would you want that? And I'm like, well, for carving the hairs. And it turned out that he had never, ever had experience carving of boxwood. And it's not because he's like a no good carver or something. It's because in the era during which he worked, that just wasn't happening anymore. This was something that was done in Edo and Meiji time, and probably pre-war too. A lot of the pre-war prints I've got are really astonishingly delicate. But during Ito-san's lifetime, he worked through the 50s and 60s. During his lifetime, the publishers just weren't calling for that level of refinement. So he had no idea. He had never himself carved on boxwood. So. I hear water running. Well, there it is. It's coming out of the, you can see it. Water is running past our lamp post. Okay, let's have a go at this. There's the eye. We've got it outlined. How much you can see what kind of screen you're looking at. This is the key part to one of these prints. We get this screwed up, this boy's expression will be strange. So. Time to turn off the outside mic.
Oh.
あ、どうもおはようございます。あ、アマゾンから。はい。
じゃあ置いといていいですか。
ありがとうございます。
サインしといて。
あ、どうも。
いいですか。
はい、お願いします。
じゃあサインしておきますね。
はい、ありがとうございます。どうも。
どうも。
Get my mask ready, but he says it doesn't need the signature. Oh, wait a minute. Outside audio, let's get rid of it. Testing, testing. It's construction. 2 doors down. It's a skill shop. Chup, chup, 2 doors down. They're starting construction. The rule is 8 o'clock. You got to keep quiet before 8 o'clock. Anything after 8 o'clock is okay. So I've turned off the outside mic. What you're hearing now is only from my pin mic, whatever's coming in. If it gets worse, we'll close the door. Question about the Kuche. 2 streams ago, I showed the magazine with the print inside. So, interesting question. Do we leave them? I've left it. The question there, I would love to take that Kuche print out and save it somewhere where it has better protection from the acid paper. But the particular value of the item I showed you was that here was a very rare print still in place in the magazine. So there's a bit of a paradox there. If you're a collector of some, whatever, antique Nintendo games, you get one inside the plastic or something. It's never been opened. But suppose that it's better to preserve it with air. That if it's never been opened, it's going to get moldy and die. But you've bought the original that's never been opened. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? There's a paradox there. The value comes from never having been opened. And in the case of this Kuche, the value / interest comes from the fact that it's still stuck inside this magazine. And yet for the best way to preserve it, it should come out of the magazine, away from that bad paper, and should be stored. So I'm not really bothered. The individual Kuche are not rare. Oh my God, we've got to preserve this as well as we can. Having it in the magazine, it will get a bit foxed, a bit moldy, but it will be better off as it is staying in there. Cameron's here. Yeah. We don't know. Cameron, they started actually in November. You must have still been here. They gutted the old place. They poured a concrete floor, put a front door on, and then disappeared. Then through November, December, January, February, March, whatever, there was nothing happening. It was all gone. And now it's come back alive again. So whether it's the same people have canceled and gone away and this is new people coming in, or whether it's the same people who had the plan last year who are now picking it up, I don't know. Some kind of food service. And looking in through the front door the other day, it looks like what they're doing is inside, in a very small space, they're preparing a kitchen and food prep area, and they're going to sell it at the front door for people to walk down the street, as far as we can see. So they did nothing for X months, and whether it's now the same people coming back or it's been sold off to somebody else, I have no idea. That question about preserving the magazine in its original form, we deal with that in a major way here at Mocha Hong Kong. We have a lot of these prints. Some of the prints I showed you yesterday. Remember, I was opening a black folder and showed you the prints from the Takamizawa set, the print set made in 1952. They published them in awful, awful paper. There was no acid-free paper. Nobody even thought about it or cared for it back then. So most of the 20th century print sets that we get, the first thing we have to do is open it up, get them out of their original packaging, and store them nicely. But the packaging is part of the historical value of these things. So upstairs in the collection room, across the bottom of the shelves there, are all of these original packages that these sets came in. The thick cardboard, the blah, 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 blah. They're empty. I've taken the prints out and put them into separate storage. One way would be to leave the print in the packaging and try to put some clean white paper inside it, but you've got to change it. It makes it too thick. So we've just taken them out of there. We've just taken the prints out of their folders, stored the prints separately. And everything's got a code, catalog code number, so we know what goes together. But yeah, it is the thing. There may be people in the museum world who are sort of upset about this. Don't destroy the original thing, leaving it alone is to destroy it. You have to take it out of that packaging. Anyway, museum people don't care about the stuff we're doing. This is all a Taisho era and 20th century. They don't care about this stuff. So. And back in the old days, the Edo era, there was no packaging. Prints were never packaged, so that's not a question for people in the museum world. They never have to deal with that. We think about it too here now. We're a print publisher. We're sending prints out into the world, so we have to package them. We can't leave them just bare. And of course, we've tried to find, what's called in Japanese fuseishi, acid-free paper. But the people in that market are you can't trust anything they say. You have a paper wholesale, oh yeah, acid-free, 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 yeah, sure. And I believe that about as much as I'd grumble. It's a paradox. When you're making a product using raw materials that last 200 years, how do you package it? You have to package it in material that lasts 200 years. And plastic, nope. Normal paper, nope. The only thing that's going to last 200 years is more Japanese washi. And then how do you package that? If we wrap our prints in nice, beautiful Japanese washi, how do we package the washi? It's washi all the way down. Okay, coming along nicely. We've got to get this next eye done. How's our time? Are we okay? 9:04. Oh, no. We're out of time. 9:15. Out of this kind of time. Oh, my mother's here. Good morning. My mother's here. Good morning. Nice to see you. Email problems. We had a lucky session the other day. I chatted with my mother by Skype, and luckily the thing we were trying to fix, email settings, we could put both. She could put her Skype on the screen and the email setting on the screen. So we were able to get it sorted out. My mother's email is now back up and running. The Twitch settings, I don't know for her. I couldn't even find my own Twitch settings. But okay, we have show and tell. Something different today. I mentioned a few minutes ago visiting Ito-san, the old carver. And today's show and tell is related to the visit to Ito-san. We've been upstairs, and I was sorting out the question and the collection stuff upstairs. I spent the weekend pulling this out, pulling that out, filing this, filing that, getting stuff straightened out, buying more clear files. That Amazon delivery you just saw, it's a bunch more clear files, larger size, ready for new prints. And in the collection, we also have a bunch of stuff that is not just woodblock prints. The collection now is starting to include a bunch of things, objects. And among the objects that we have in the collection is a little plastic box. They used to be just thrown in an envelope, but I put them in a plastic box a while ago. And I had an interesting experience a while ago. And when the shop was still open, this would be I don't know, whatever, last autumn, somewhere. A young man came who had been watching this and that. He'd seen the YouTube videos, and he had a question. He was thinking about carving himself, and he had a question. He said, would it be possible, Dave? I know, please, I really don't want to ask this. I mean, shoot me, kick me out, say no, run up and down, scream, get angry, do what you want. Would it be possible if I could see some of Ito-san's tools that you have here? And I said, sure, no problem. I went upstairs, I got a package, and I brought it downstairs. And the thing this morning that reminded me about this is that 2 days ago, somebody posted on our YouTube channel. The comments on the YouTube channel are 99%, 99.999% positive. But every now and then, there's comments from people who I think perhaps don't understand actually what's going on. And the comment this guy posted the other day, and I'll put it here for you. It wasn't, this is not obscene or anything. It's okay, we can post it here. But to me, he misunderstood what was happening in that video. Here's his comment, and it's in its entirety, the comment that was posted on the YouTube video. He had seen me mention in that video that I took some of Ito-san's tools after he died. His wife gave them to me. And we've got some of them here. Let's know what that is. We have here a bunch of the tools that Ito-san's wife left me. And the person commenting on the YouTube felt that it's not right for David to have these, that this sort of stuff should be in a museum somewhere. And that's an interesting point, because most of Ito-san's tools are in a museum. After he died, this had been prearranged before he died. His carving bench, like the bench I've got here, his carving bench and most of his tools did go to a local museum. This had been prearranged. He had been decorated. He got like the local Arakawa City Craftsman's Award for being a Meister, blah, 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 whatever. So he was recognized in his own area there. His stuff did go into a museum. And what was given to me by his wife a couple of weeks later was just some sort of leftover stuff, actually. Either she set it aside for me or he set it aside for me. I don't have any idea about the backstory there. But what I got was actually just a bit of leftover stuff. Now the guy in the thing is posting they should be in a museum. Within minutes of me getting these tools home that day, within minutes of me getting them home, I had them photographed, I had a web page ready, and I put them, in fact I got a link for it today here. We'll put it into the stream so that it's up here. I had a little silly web page made with these prints photographed and described as soon as I could, because I felt that part of the deal of getting these tools would be to explain them, show them, talk about that carver, talk about his life, talk about his tools, talk about everything. The ones that went into a museum, me and Aoyama-san, we're trying to make a new series of knives. We're busy. We're doing testing. We're testing new blades. A couple of months now, we may have a new series of knives. As part of studying the old knives, Aoyama-san phoned up the museum where Ito-san's tools are. He called them. It's the Arakawa-ku Dento Shiryokan, traditional museum gallery of stuff in Arakawa-ku. The person he spoke to on the phone said, "Huh?" And Aoyama says, okay, maybe whatever. The girl who answers the phone doesn't know everything about what they've got there. So he told her about what was going on, that we would like permission to come and see these things. And she says, I'll get back to you. She gets back to us and says, I'm sorry, there's nothing like that here. We don't know anything about this. So the museum that took his tools, the museum that got his tools, has them in a fucking cardboard box in the back room. They don't know what they've got. The tools by now must be rusty. This is 20 years ago. So don't tell me that this stuff should be in a museum and that it's not right for me to have them. And the guy says this white guy has his tools. Screw you. These tools have come to the one room on the face of this planet where they will be whatever, honored, shown, studied, looked at, tested, and not looked at, whatever. Anyway, let's look at some of these things. We've put them in videos. These are not new to most of a long time. Whatever, I shouldn't swear, whatever. The part of the comment that maybe, he says this white guy. Give me a break about this white guy. Ito-san didn't care, and I don't care, and nobody cares. These tools, We are in our own tools that we're making right now. There's so many stories here. You can see what's happening here. Let me get something to compare. Here, let's just look at these two. Here's one of my modern tools. I would have bought this maybe, I don't know, 30 years ago or so. It's what they call futatsuwari. If I can open this, it doesn't get open very much. Here we go. You open it up like this. It splits up, and then the blade, you can see where I've moved it forward bit by bit by bit. As it gets shorter, you move it forward a little bit, sharpen some more, and put it back in. This is the 20th century way of doing things. Back in the old days of doing things, it's the same system. This was split, and there's a little bamboo pin at the bottom. But instead of having a metal, what is it called? A metal... I forgot my word. Help me. What's the metal thing? It's not a sleeve. It's a ferrule. A metal ferrule. John, you're on it. I'm on it. A metal ferrule. They, in the old days, used string. This Ito-san used shamisen string, and it's in the video. He's talking about blah, 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 blah in the video. So Ito-san's tools, for the most part, are tied with shamisen string. So Dave and Aoyama-san, now we are preparing our new line of tools. We've really found nice steel. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful steel. But do we publish our tools, make our tools with ferrules or with string? This is more expensive to produce. The number of people making these now is next to none. You've got to prepare a die, bang it, slam it down. We're trying to order 100 at a time. It's costing us $1,000 because they have no die, blah, 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 blah. With string, we can do this easy by ourselves. But, expensive to make, inexpensive to make, traditional, non-traditional, but easy to use. Easy to use, a little bit not so easy to use, because after you've sharpened a while, you got to cut your string, take it off, move the knife out, figure out how to tie the string again. One of our walking, which way did he go? This way, that way? It's a walking tour guy. His live visit to Asakusa. So you saw it before I did. So. Excuse me. And we are really trying to decide what to do. I am leaning to doing it the traditional way for a couple of reasons. Nobody's made tools like this since the war. So 70, 80 years, nobody has ever published or manufactured tools like this. This one, it looks cheap, it looks tinny. There's a real danger, which I fell into many, many times at the beginning. The ferrule has a bottom part, and when you're carving and clearing, if you go a bit too low, that bangs the work. And I've chipped any number of prints by chipping underneath the bottom of it. With this one, because you made them in a thinner profile, because you don't need the wide profile, and the bottom of it has no metal, you never, ever, ever, ever chip. In real life, the people we are selling these to are probably not going to be ending up as professional craftsmen. They're going to make some prints, do a little bit. Maybe they will be scared of sharpening. Maybe they'll do a bit of sharpening. I'm thinking that they're almost certainly never going to need to adjust this blade. The main carving knife you sharpen all the time, daily. The ice ski chisels get sharpened not so often. Even myself, how often do I pull this forward? Not once a year. Not once every couple of years do I pull that forward. That same blade, I've had this. I don't even know. I don't document it. 3, 4, 5 years I've had this. The main blades I replace over a period of months or a year. The ice ski blades, many, many, many years. So I'm thinking, let's go traditional. Let's make it look this way. Put an instruction package with the knives. We're going to do that anyway. How to sharpen, how to take care of them, how to do this. Put a set of instructions. And if you can't even carve this, if you can't even tie a piece of string like this, then are you really the person who's going to be able to carve delicate, nice looking work? But Aoyama-san says, let's pay the money, let's get the tooling and die making done and do it this way, because that's what everybody else does. And as soon as he says that, I'm thinking like, you pushed the wrong button here, guy. whatever. So yes, instruction package, diagrams, video. Click here to watch us do this. It's not even anything esoteric. The way the string is tied here, it's a global thing. We talked before, fly tying. Anybody's tied fishing flies. You get your feathers and blah, blah, roll it around, put the string through the loop, pull the loop, tight, bang, it's done. It's nothing exotically Japanese. Anyway, we're about at decision point, and sometime within the next few days, Aoyama-san and I really do have to make some decisions on this. And because this is my company, not his, I think I know where we're going with this. Is he okay? He's going to cut some stuff and then take it indoors and use it. Is that the idea? Okay. The other major difference between Ito-san's tools and mine again, I've kept mine long, his are really quite short. And he and I talked about that in the interview, and it's in the YouTube video. Like I mentioned, look how long mine is and how short yours are. And he says, yeah, but look at your hand is bigger than mine, and such and such and such and such, you know. But having said that, his handles are shorter or about the same. Well, look at that, the handle's about the same as mine. But the amount of blade he has stuck out is quite a bit more than mine, and that's interesting, you know. So it's not just simply a matter of your hand size. It's a question of style. You can see the difference too. See the knockoff here? This is from the sharpening stone when you sharpen the bevel. Mine has become much more. It's because of it's the length. Actually, in real life, they're about the same. Sharpening the bevel, it knocks back about the same point. So anyway, these tools are here. They're going to be part of our collection. I mentioned before that when this visitor came last year, I said, sure, I'll show them to you. I got in a bit of trouble because what happened was I brought this plastic box down, put it in the counter, we chatted, and then somebody from upstairs said, Dave, telephone. And without really thinking about it, I ran upstairs to talk on the phone and came back downstairs, and by then the guy was gone. And I thought, oh, have I made a big mistake? And I went to the file, and no, they were all there. The guy was clean, he was cool, he didn't do anything untoward. But for a few minutes there, he was alone in this shop with this selection of tools. And I guess this is something I have to start to address when we open up our collection next year, when visitors soon start to come again. Do we need to worry about things like this? Are people like going to try and steal these? I really don't know what to say. And it's perhaps, and you can guess what's happening. Everybody around me here is saying the same thing. Dave, don't even tell people you've got these. Take pictures of them, show them. Don't you dare bring these folders out for people to look at. And I don't know. My whole philosophy on this is to talk and show and tell and touch and taste and do things. But I guess it's kind of like a jewelry store. When somebody comes in to try on rings, the clerk doesn't give you a tray of rings and say, see you and have fun. So I guess we have to bit by bit start realizing that some of the stuff we have here is actually, quote, valuable to many, many people. And we have to be careful with how we show it and tell it. So. Anyway, there it is. And actually, too, bringing them out today reminds me what I need to do with these things. Every once in a while, every few months, I need to get a soft rag here, and I need to get some camellia oil. And these tools, even though they're not being used, these tools do need to be lightly oiled. If we don't lightly oil them and leave a bit of camellia oil on the surface here, they will pick up rust. And the last thing I want to do, if these things get rusty, I've got to sharpen them off, and I do not want to do that. I want to leave these pretty much exactly the same shape that Ito-san left them. Because part of the value of these tools, of course, is the shape, the way he sharpened them, the way he used them. And if I started to use these myself, that would spoil that. So I should have a regular maintenance here. Bring these things out every once in a while. Make sure they get oiled and touched up and looked at. Even with that, there is a bit of rust growing on the back of this one, you know. What do? Don't use them, they die. Use them, they die. I don't know. Okay, anyway, there you go. Okay, it's Monday morning now. Crap. I'm out here for 3 days. I'll be back Thursday morning. Tomorrow is a special day for me. I'm off to the hospital for the eye examinations. They're going to give me the good news, bad news on my degeneration happening in the right-hand eye. He will either tell me, you're going to be blind in 6 months, or he'll say, don't worry about it, it's going to stop at a certain level, and you're going to be okay. I have no idea which way it's going to go. Anyway, there we are. It's Monday morning. I'll see you on Thursday. You know how we're supposed to sign off here. As soon as I head outside, mask goes on. Okay, guys. Thanks so much. I've had fun with this today. See you tonight. I'll enjoy reading the stream over at lunchtime. And hi, Mom. See you later. Talk to you soon. See you back on Thursday, Wednesday night for most of you. Thanks very much, and I'll see you then. Good night for now. The water seems to have stopped. I don't know what it was. Somebody washing something, I guess. Okay, guys. Bye-bye. See you next time.